Welcome to What's in the DVD Box podcast. The only podcast asking what is in fact in the DVD box. Introducing your hosts, Jonathan Lind and David Winkler. Now, welcome to the pod. Welcome back to What's in the DVD Box podcast. David, good morning. What's in the DVD box this week?
Fun little jaunt called Dead Poets Society with one Robin Williams, who, of course, every time I watch one of these movies, I go to look up how old they are, and he is my age in this movie, which is kind of depressing. But yeah.
Well,
I didn't know if you wanted that.
Okay, I thought we were going to wait for the depressing parts till later, but okay, we're there now.
Well, we'll just starting off there because I remembered that as I was I was like, oh, how old was he? 37. Cool. I feel great about it. He's the teacher. Yeah. He's the old teacher, old wise teacher. Well,
he's
okay. The young hip old wise to the kids.
So we'll get in this. How did this get in your box of DVDs?
Great question. Not of the genre of DVDs in this box. This occupies a very unique category of serious movie. And I think I saw it in high school at some point in time with my dad. And it's a good movie. It kind of really sticks with you. So it was like one of the times where I was buying DVDs in between The Godfather and, one of the mini Denzel movies apparently I have.
Man on Fire, Rambo 4 or whatever. just the fourth Rambo.
A lot of Jason Statham movies. And then I was like, why don't we do something good? I'll feel good about myself if I get this one. So pick this one up.
Okay, what did you think this time around?
Oh, this one, being a dad now, this hits, and as we go through it, it's like it's real. I have lots of thoughts, but overall, I was like my impressions of Robin Williams is just commands every scene he's in. He's so good, and at this time he's pretty young. And he was just a comedian, and that's all I could think of. Like watching this guy give such a powerful performance, I was like, he's just like a comedian, like a silly dude who does impressions, and overall a very silly person.
I was glad I forgot they do give him a little bit of the hey, you get to do some impressions for about a scene, which is good because how could you not? His impressions are phenomenal.
They're just like in every movie. Miss Doubtfire, obviously, lots of impressions, but the whole first scene where he's doing a whole bunch of impressions, they're just let him cook. Yeah, you can't. It's probably in the contract somewhere, actually. But
and he, you could probably extrapolate out if we looked at the bonus features. There was probably 20 minutes of footage of him just doing a bunch of impressions, and it's like, hey, let's pick the two that are a little more toned down.
Yeah. Still really good.
For me, I think this would have, at the time, probably would have made the DVD box. I'm kind of on the fence right now. We'll obviously talk about it, but it's kind of more of a depressing movie than I remembered. Yeah. I think some of the, introducing to these, old, to poetry, to these older things, it's it happens back to back to back to back to back that it, we've talked in other movies where kind of feels unearned. In this movie too, I got a little bit of that feeling where hey, oh yeah, Thoreau, suck the marrow out of life. But it's this is their first class with him. And the contrast is chemistry's really hard. Yeah. And that's kind of the extent of it. So it kind of felt, because there's so much of it packed in a short time. Yeah. Now coming back with a little more critical, I was kind of a little unearned. But if I was 18 or 19, I would have I'd be hook, line, and sinker. I'm you're right. I should go read Thoreau. I actually kind of even still had the thought of should I memorize more poetry? Am I into poetry now? So my criticism still, it doesn't hold a ton of water because, to some extent it still sort of rouses you and works. But I think from the writing department, I think this one scores a little bit lower.
Interesting. Okay. Well, we can fight about that because
I would love to.
Yeah. So what do you like? Why don't you break down a little synopsis of the movie? Give us a little bit of heat.
Yeah. So you open up and you're in a preparatory academy, an all boys school, high school, I believe, and they're all. I think this is set in like the late 50s.
Yeah, 59.
Basically, most of the parenting styles are pretty authoritative, and so the school really supports that as well. It's you kind of get the little tradition, discipline, honor, excellence as their like sort of main characteristics, and then like the boys just immediately like flip it on its head and travesty, decadence, horror, excrement.
Yeah.
So you have kind of these group of friends at the school. They get into Robin Williams' English class. He's Mr. Keating. They find out he went to the school. He used to have this little society called the Dead Poet Society. Yeah. That's about all he says. Like he doesn't really tell him much about it. And they're like, "Oh, we're bringing it back."
Yeah.
And they restart this club. Not really know what they're doing. They're fumbling through it. Reading some poetry, and then they start to kind of go off the rails.
Yeah.
One kid gets to a party, and another kid is bringing girls, and they kind of don't know what to do. They're just like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
And another kid gets like really into acting, and that kind of becomes the main driving plot to the rest of the movie. And he ends up. What's his name? Neil.
Yeah.
Neil ends up acting in Midsummer Night's Dream. His dad wants nothing to do with it. So that's a big fight. His dad says, "I'm, pulling you out of the school," after he finishes the play. Neil ends up killing himself. And the school does a big investigation, sort of pins it on Keating for kind of encouraging the behavior. With the help of a ginger.
Oh, that's
ridiculous. So then Keating gets kicked out of the school. Not before the rest of the boys stand and deliver at the end with the "Oh Captain, My Captain" scene.
Yeah.
So overall, Robin Williams and his role, phenomenal.
Yeah.
One of the main things that I wish is like, I wish he had more screen time. And I'll tie that to where I think the writing could be improved. But yeah, going through the scenes, what were some of the scenes like early on in the movie that were like, ooh, like love that, or oh, hate that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think where I think the writing was actually pretty good was setting up a lot, I mean, to the best of the extent they could, setting up like how you could see each of the characters kind of, going in the directions they did. Really, like, the whole thing was like, you have this rogue professor, like, dropping a bomb of, like, free thought into this, like, super rigid school. So you see from the beginning, like, very rigid, they're all sitting there with their parents, and the it's like a sanctuary looking thing, stand up, recite, so you're setting the groundwork for, okay, this is serious, like, boys' school. And really, like, this movie was released in the late 80s.
Yep.
So I kind of get the sense of, like, they were already looking back. At that time the movie was made, they were already looking back at this, being like, this is outdated a little bit. But you understand the context, right? And then you already start to see as the first, like, introduction of all the characters come in, you're seeing, like, who these characters are. The Nwanda, Charlie, who's like kind of leading the pack, already like showing defiance, right? Like you can just see it on his face. You can see each of the characters, the ginger already being gingery and, already going to cause problems later. But, and each character's, Neil is the one who's kind of, you could tell he's a little idealistic, but then his father comes in right away, smacks that down. So, and that was just with like the school newspaper, right? Something that you would think is supported by the father and everything. So, I think the writing was all setting that up. And so like once it does come to fruition, I felt like I already knew that it was happening because of how they set it up, just in the first couple scenes, and that's how a movie is going to grab you at the beginning and justify everything that comes after. Even like how they introduce Robin Williams, as this, like, he's clearly younger than everybody of these old, jokesters on the staff. You're wondering kind of why he's there. And then...
I think you figure out because they needed a PE teacher.
Yeah.
And he was the youngest one by maybe 30 to 50 years.
Which is crazy to think about. Yeah. Yeah, but they're just like, he was an honor student. So you're like, okay, I can see, he seems prestigious enough. You could imagine them being in a room like, oh, what a great student, like he's going to be great for us teaching literature. But and then you see the other classes like very formal, like you said, very like this is going to be hard, and then he just takes him out. And that first scene, like of the Carpe Diem, is like I watched it on a YouTube short like a while back before this movie even popped up. It's like, whew, that's like a chilling scene, just showing the like pictures of the old pictures, like Carpe.
It's like, I agree. That was one of those like, should I turn this movie off and like go do something with my life right now? Like, wait, no, I'm watching this for a podcast. Okay. Yeah. So I totally agree with that. I think they do set the characters up well. Maybe part of my problem was that the characters, like, they don't transform a whole lot through the movie. Like if it's supposed to be a coming of age movie, like I think with Neil you get like that trajectory, but ultimately they're telling a story about the authoritative parenting. But I don't see like, hey, do they get reined in and then figure out like, okay, here's how we do this thing called life. I want to talk through some more scenes before I come to my thesis.
Okay. Yeah. So, what about you? What scenes stuck out to you in the beginning?
I loved the, hey, let's read the intro on how to like read a poem, how to rate it. Like he tricked me, which is like such a great job by Robin Williams. And I think that scene is very well written. Okay, read the intro. How do you rate a poem? You be fluent on the meter, rhyme, figures of speech, and then ask 2 questions. How artfully has the objective of the poem been rendered? And how important is the objective? I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Academics, yep. And then you have, area, and yeah, it's more, okay. Rip it out. I was like, oh, dang, he got me. He got me.
Yeah. So you were into the math of it. You were like, okay, yeah, let me just rate this on
like I'm getting tricked into the same thing that he's tricking them into of like, no, actually just rip it all out. This is ridiculous.
You got the ginger keeping notes, drawing the graph on his little
That's
notepad.
me. I'm like, I'm over there on my laptop. I'm like, oh, this is we're going to talk about this scene because how do you think about what's the best rated poem you've ever, oh, okay. Got it. I guess I'll delete that. So that there was definitely one of the scenes. The Carpe Diem one. But for me, like what I was saying earlier is I think those were like a little bit stacked on top of each other. If I would have had a little bit of like, okay, now go back to the rest of the school that kind of like stinks and is difficult.
Yeah.
And then you get this like splash of fresh air. There's more of a contrast. And I guess I don't know if it's necessarily better, but in my head, it's kind of a little more rounded.
Yeah.
That way.
I think that the deal with like Robin Williams coming in is like you see them almost like prime for something like that. Yeah. They were just waiting for an excuse to
let loose,
do something different, which is just like the theme that I kept thinking through the movie is like I think at one point I was like this like sneaking out and them doing all of these things like as a kid feels like kind of a noble thing to do. Like the way the movie was setting it up was like, this is, of course you're going to do this, right? Like, look how they're sneaking out to go do this. It's it's just poetry, you know. In our modern world, seems ridiculous. Like if my kid was sneaking out doing poetry, I'd kind of be stoked about it because I'd be like, "Look at you doing
And
something."
they would hate it because what they want is the rebellion.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it. It's like they want the rebellion, and like as a kid in that age, it's kind of all you want. Like you want to go out on your own. You've been told you're a kid, you can't do everything, and then this is your like one act of defiance to like sneak out to go do this thing. But then all I could think is like, do I think that way because of these movies? Like you're kind of like fed these movies your whole life. And then I just kept thinking like, well, everything about this movie that like elicits a feeling or like this does feel, or I've been trained this way because all these movies are just like this. Like, and I was like, am I some like Pavlov's dog when I hear like that authoritarian figure, or is he Red from that 70s show in a movie? I'm like, repel. Like this is good.
Probably a little bit yes and a little bit no. I think a little bit yes in the like, hey, there's like, there's something about that age range where you just need to, rebel and find, sort of become your own person. There's also a no in the sense that like, I mean, which one of us are, actually whole enough as parents to have a like healthy encouragement of danger and risk taking under the like loving parentage, like of a good parent.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, you want to go out and like ride motorcycles? Okay, great. Here's how we go do that. Hey, you want to go out for the football team? Okay, here's how we go do that.
Yeah.
And like do these things that are risky under the like supervision of like still being at home.
Yeah. And that probably existed back then too. I mean, it's easy to look at like 1959 and think, well, this is how everybody was.
Right.
I mean, this is like a high-end boys preparatory school.
Right.
Which, well, side note on that, I was like, man, these dorks are the ones running the country now. Like, these are the ones on the head of the CIA. Like, no wonder we are where we are. But, but yeah, like, you're like, this probably was happening outside of it, but you just see, there's such a like, I'm saying eliciting feelings of like this. As soon as you see his dad, and as soon as you like, is it good writing or like, is it just that it's just an easy out to be like, you see this dad and you're like, this guy's not going to let his son do what he wants to do, and I kind of hate that. I'm going to let my kid do what I want to do, but then at the same time being like, well, no, my kid can't do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, right. Let's dive into the villains of the movie.
Yeah.
So you have, to me, the
old
two
people.
Old people. Okay, well, I guess one villain. I think there's two categories. One is like the school administration.
Yeah. And then Chet.
Oh, I guess Chet is in there. He kind of didn't really. I think two would be Neil's dad.
Yeah.
Neil Perry's dad. Through most of the movie, it's like, wow, his dad's a real stick up the butt.
Yeah.
Like, geez, this is crazy. And then in the last bit, it's like, oh, you see him unwilling to budge at all. And like, he digs even harder. And then the movie is like, okay, well, his son is going to off himself because of that, which, I don't know, was a little bit of a stretch from this kid who was like, I love life. And then suddenly I just like can't act. It felt like a little bit of a jump. So what do you think of his dad as a villain? Good villain, bad villain?
So if
even a villain, I mean, qualify?
It's tough. Yeah. I mean, he's an antagonist to like where the protagonist is trying to go. Like he's keeping him from it. I mean, he becomes relatable after you see the final like arc a little bit. And if to the extent that there's any the weaker writing for me, it was like he was such a caricature of like a bad dad. It's like, oh, you want to try like any little thing that I don't say, like, I'm gonna get you. But then like he's explaining his motives throughout the entire movie, right? He's like, I've sacrificed a lot. Like, other kids don't have this opportunity. Like, I didn't have this opportunity. Like, don't mess this up. Like, you could just see like he was pouring his life and passions into his kid, And so by doing that, by making his identity as kid, it was like, I do know what's best. And arguably what his dad was trying to do was what's best for him to become a doctor and go to Harvard and do all the things that his dad wanted to do. So
Yep.
it was somewhat relatable in that way, but he was like, this is the thing. It's like you hold on too tight and you're going to lose them.
Yep. I think his dad was like pretty well written because you still get the like, hey, no, you're not doing the newspaper. You got to focus on all this, this other stuff. And then he's like, don't disrespect me. He takes him to the hall, but you kind of get this like a little bit of a heartfelt moment.
Yeah.
Where he's like, don't ever do that again. Hey, you're going to do great.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what he actually said, but it was like, you kind of see him do the hard nose, and then you see him like sort of let his guard down a little bit. I wish they would have continued that, which maybe this makes his dad a tragic character because I think for me, he's saying, okay, I sacrificed so much for us to get you here, which to me reads as this is like we've got nothing left. We put it all in for you to go to this prep academy so that you could get into Harvard, so you could go to here. So for him to say, I'm pulling you out and putting you into a military academy, it's like, okay, like maybe he does have connections. Maybe he can just get some of his money back. Maybe he can get some of it like it was, for me, it was like, oh, he can just make these moves now. I thought this was like the last, like finish line kid getting into the prep high school, and like that was the like final baton thing.
This is the 50s, so you could buy a house for like $25, and so it was.
Okay. That's fair.
Everyone
could
could kind of move it around, but at the same time, your legacy was on the line. It wasn't like the other rich families there. I mean, I get that tension of being like he's supposed to be this kind of like quote unquote middle class family, and it was like, but his dad needs him to go to Harvard to like his investment strategy is him becoming a doctor and taking care of them later. It kind of sounds like how it is. So he's putting a lot of eggs in this, my kid's going to take care of me later basket.
Which does make him sort of like, I mean, pretty consistent.
Yeah.
It's like,
he is.
It's my only option.
Yeah, he is consistent. And then it was a nice touch of when they're coming back after the play and the mom's like sitting there waiting. We haven't heard about the mom, but there's references made that he's doing this for his mom too. Like, hey, this is for your mom. Your mom would be so disappointed. Like, kind of trying to like play the mom off. And then as they're coming up, she's like hiding a cigarette, and she's like, I don't know if she was or wasn't because everyone smoked back then, I guess. But it seemed like she was kind of like putting it away as soon as she saw him driving up. Like, I can't be smoking this in front of him. And it's kind of this like, okay, everybody's on edge from this guy a little bit.
Yep.
And, he's a little bit of a loose cannon. Now, why I do think it wasn't out of left field for him to do it is like he just got to the end of it, like literally the end of his rope, and he's like,
just cracked.
My life is over. Like I've tasted a little bit of what life could be like, and that I will never get. And life is not worth living if I can't have that.
I mean, very susceptible in that age.
Yeah, exactly.
The folly of youth to see that.
Yeah. The Romeo and Juliet, like classic, like dumb decision, like that. If you thought out a little bit more, you'd probably realize that there'd be more opportunities for him. And even, Keating trying to teach him, like, there will be more opportunities later, right? Like that was kind of his message to him.
Yep.
I think Keating, to his credit, saw through, like, he's like, I think he probably didn't tell his dad about this. Like his dad wasn't going to be as stoked about this, He was hoping that his dad was away, I guess, and just it wouldn't matter.
Or that his dad would listen to him.
Through the play. Well, I didn't think that the dad was coming at all. Like I think it was a surprise.
Yeah.
Which is what made that scene in the play of him like delivering that final like scene to his father. Like he's acting for his life. It kind of felt like he was acting for his life a little bit, and then at the end it was just like, nope, just couldn't break through. And that part is like where villain, like you don't want to use villain necessarily because it's like you kind of see some nuance in the man, but the antagonist happens is like he had the opportunity to be like broken from that scene. There's a version of this movie where he goes, "Good job, son." Like,
Wow.
wow, you
You
should
have
do
it.
this. Like, amazing. I see where you're at. Like, let's try to do both here. There was like a version of the movie that happened that way. That's not the movie we got, and it led us to
Which
the end.
I think you're right. I think you don't know actually what's going to happen. His dad shows up in the back and is standing there. It's like, well, he maybe has a shot to act his way into becoming an actor with his father.
Yeah.
Um,
They do a good job of like kind of setting up where it's like he's good. You can tell he's good.
yeah.
Everyone knows he's good. Like the rest of the people experience it are like, whoa, like good
Yeah.
job, bud. Like we didn't know that this was our boy right here. And
Also, a funny thing to me is always actors playing actors in movies.
I thought the
Always
same thing.
sort of like that. The sort of like meta
Yeah,
thing always cracks me up.
it does.
I think his dad kind of makes a good villain
Yeah,
because like he has understandable motives. You don't want the dad to win because you want the son to
yeah,
win.
yeah.
Okay, is it his dad responsible? Is it the school that's responsible? Is it his friends that are responsible? Is it Keating that's responsible? It all sort of plays up to where like you can pin this on his dad. You can also pin it on other people.
Yeah.
And it's like I think villain in the traditional sense, how we've been going through some of these movies, is it's a different category for sure.
Yeah.
It's not like some
It's like
Vietnamese slaughtering
Dictator.
innocent villages.
or white supremacist dude.
Right. But there's still the element of like, hey, you are crushing ultimately a kid's life
Yeah,
maybe
this
without
is
even realizing it.
this is a less fun villain, but it's like it's a relatable one that you see in. It's not a caricature necessarily of any kind of villain that you see in movies most of the time. It's like this could be anyone's dad, and like this could and you kind of still think like at least for me like these preparatory schools still exist. These are the people still funneling into all the Ivy League schools. Like this type of thing still exists.
Yeah.
Like in the world, like however, 30 something years later from when this movie was released and however long since this kind of like thing is set. It's like, it's probably still happening. There's probably still
You probably don't have as much authoritative parenting, but you do definitely have the like, oh, hey, you are going to be like an Olympic swimmer, or you are going to be a world-renowned pianist, or you are going to be a top violin player. You are going to practice 2 hours a day
Yeah.
from the age of 7.
Well, and I think there's probably people who watch this movie and they see the conversation they're having is Keating's a villain. Like he is they relate with the dad's character and they say he's trying to do the right thing. He knows what he's doing for his son. Cause as parents, we all know like there are ideas our kids get that are bad ideas. And if they follow those ideas, like harm will come to them. So trying to keep them from those ideas
Yep.
is a good idea.
Would you, and at what point would you show it to any of your kids?
Ooh, that's a good question. With the suicide, probably like 16, like 15, 16, before they get out, while they're still in the house.
Yeah.
Like I think that's probably about when I watched it too.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, definitely like 15, 16. There's a whole bunch of these movies that I'm like, I just want to show my kids to see their reaction for. So we'll see how that hits. But definitely like 15, 16.
Yeah, I think if there wasn't, if one of the main characters didn't commit suicide, it'd probably be younger.
Yeah.
But I think with that, you can't really have the movie, I think, without it.
No.
No. So yeah, that's
It's what it
probably
leads to. And it's a real life thing. Like it's something kids will experience probably, unfortunately, in their lives, like before that ever happens, So it's something to like deal with and be able to talk with your kids about. Like, do you feel like I'm like that as a dad? Like, probably a little bit. Here's why I'm actually not. And, maybe you see them and you're like, hey, see how much worse I could be? Like, doing pretty good, right? Like, yeah.
So, did Keating succeed or fail?
Cool. I was not ready for that. What a great question. I mean, he succeeded in what he was trying to do in making free thinkers. I mean, that's the whole final scene, right? That's what the movie wants you to kind of walk away from is conformity is sitting down at your desk and listening to the old professor. They're changing their situation. They're changing their perspective, getting on the desk and showing like their allegiance to this teacher who changed how they thought about the world, and even more hardened after seeing what happened to their friend, you know, because there's like clearly the perspectives of all the characters in here after the main scene when he killed himself was the administration went, we're going to take the problem that came in and, you know, change how we were doing everything. That's this Keating guy. He's the real issue. We need details. The ginger will give him up because that's what gingers do. And, you know, the kids went the other way to say, like, even more so, like, we got to push back against this authoritarianism that's, you know, that they see is the problem with the school. So the characters experienced the scene and went two different directions, with Keating kind of being in the middle, playing against one another. And the way the movie, like, sets it up is, like, he did his job. He helped these kids, like, kind of become their own people. And so he could walk off it and the movie can end.
I think he was partially successful. I think he could have done better because I think he really missed an opportunity. Now, this is purely criticizing the character in the world.
Yeah.
And this kind of gets, I don't know if it gets to the writing or not because they wrote it the way they wrote it. And maybe that's fine for now. So I'll put that aside. Purely in the world, in the scenes, in the characters. He missed an opportunity when he comes and talks to the kids and he's like, hey, look, you gotta rein it back in. You know, you can't just kind of do all this stuff. And like, that's kind of all he does. That to me, he had a chance to say, look, what is the scene? He says, yeah, we wanted to suck the marrow out of life. And he's like, yeah, but there's a difference between sucking the marrow out and choking on the bone. Yeah. To me, I think he has to take them and like show that he's serious about that. Like if he would have taken them out and say, hey, let's like, you're going to run some laps. You're going to do some push-ups. You're going to feel some pain so that I don't lose you. So that you don't just think, well, you know, we can keep doing all this stuff and Keating will still approve, but he'll just give us the, you know, compulsory slap on the wrist. I think he had a chance to like both keep the boys, because the game is always like stay in, not get taken out. Like they're on the verge of getting expelled. And Keating's like, hey boys, tone it down a little bit, which only, you know, takes them back from the line of expulsion, you know, a step or two, which is really easy to go back over.
Yeah.
If he brings them all the way back and says, look, for this to work, you have to continue where you're at to succeed, and you can do that and become a free thinker.
Well, I mean, I think that's what he was trying in the scene. If he failed at any point, it was when he was trying to handle the interpersonal relationship between the dad and the son, because he was kind of like, well, just talk to him. It'll be fine. So he gave Neil this out to like keep going. It was almost like he selfishly wanted him to be able to do this play. Like that was the moment where like it went off. He didn't read that situation correctly, you know, and he tried to like set him up a little bit to fail there, because that scene where he goes and talks to the kids, I thought was perfect, and like why I was just like blown away by Robin Williams in that scene, because it's like, how does he handle that? He wants them to keep them being free thinkers, but that like, you know, the whole suck the marrow out of life. Like I love that. Like that's something I don't think about enough, but like it pops in my head. Just that stuck with me from this movie from whenever I first watched it. And then, but I forgot about the don't choke on the bone part. And I thought that was such like a good scene. He like, you know, he's like, be smart about this, guys. Like he was kind of recognizing the precarity of their situation. And then, you know, with a wink a little bit, like the wink at the end of, you know, you know, it would have been daring if it was a collect call from like a a call from God. It would have been daring if it was collect, right? Like that was the wink at the end to be like, I see what you're doing. Like it was funny, kind of, but like be smart about it. He was trying to get that. And so then I saw the mistake being with how he dealt with the dad, because without the suicide doesn't happen, I think it's like a full win, you know, like they let that situation get off the rails a little bit. Everyone did. The administration, Keating, the dad, the friends, you know, and that's just a tough part about like how quickly a situation could turn like that, you know?
I don't know if it ultimately would have changed the outcome, but I think the message would have then been, look, you can choose to do things and there still will be consequences.
The consequence part is just...
And so if his dad is like, look, here's the consequence of you doing this, my hope is that, look, I know Keating still has my back, but he taught me that there's still consequences to free thinking. And so, okay, like maybe, and if they have that experience of like serving your time, you know, paying your consequence and getting back into it, maybe there's an element of like, okay, maybe I can go to military school and like maybe there's still a path for me to become an actor. Like that's kind of what like the framework would then maybe provide for an explanation of why you're a great actor and your dad's still not on board.
Yeah. That's the part that you're trying to wrestle with of this. Like had these ideas never been come across, like had he never tasted life in this way, there would not have been he would have grown up and been a bitter, you know, old man, just like his old man. But it's like you taste a little bit of that life and you're like, that's the part like that I want. And that's the part that seems so hopeless, you know? It's like if you never know what ice cream is and the first time you taste ice cream and then you're told like you're never going to get it again, like you could have lived your whole life without knowing ice cream exists. Is ice cream good or bad? Like ice cream is just ice cream, you know? And it goes to larger ideas of consumption within humans, right? Like why you always want more. There's a good desire behind it, you know, but we always want more. Like once we find out about a thing, like we want more. Once you have a car that has heated seats, you're like, well, I don't want not heated seats anymore, you know, but then it's more and builds upon itself. So there's good behind the motives, but handled incorrectly, I guess to your point, like it can be dangerous. So trying to strike that balance is kind of one of the things the movie's trying to like push out there.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it is one of those like, you know, maybe a part of it is like Keating's a romantic and he's trying to teach the kids to see life like that. And you can't only see life through that lens.
And maybe his hope is like, okay, they're getting the rest of the math
from the other classes.
I'm just like stuck on the whole making a graph out of poetry. Like it's such a wild like having, you know, done enough like in school and engineering and like everything to be like, oh yeah, you want to try to measure as much stuff as possible. Like that. Yeah. Poetry's good. Someone did a good job. Like it elicits feelings, but then, like you're just going to throw a graph onto it. Like wild. Which
in the first half of the scene where he has him read it out and then he starts graphing and I was like, yeah, I don't miss school.
Yeah.
And then he's like, rip it out. I was like, oh, dang.
Good teacher. Yeah.
I could see myself in this class. Yeah.
My note was like, my note is like, I want this. Everybody wants this as a teacher. Like you definitely want that. What's sticking with me is one, can you just graph anything you want? Like you're just throwing graphs on anything. Like, what am I missing? Like Liz, my wife's going to hate this. I start graphing out like when you're this mad, but
you see more whiteboards really around the house.
My kids would love that actually. So, this, what we've been talking about, the scene with the father and everything goes off the rails, but there was a more successful arc of the story with our buddy Knox, that he was taking the romanticism of this and going after a girl he saw one time. So would you call that a successful job by Keating?
Yeah, probably. Probably need some tips on like, hey, if you're going to go to a party and they say, hey, let's drink some whiskey and it's just clear, you find a way out of that situation.
He's just Mutt's brother. that part. Oh, that's Mutt's brother.
That was the one thing I definitely wrote down. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've had a little bit of whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The
Never
white
had a clear whiskey.
Yeah.
That, my friend, is likely to be moonshine.
to Mutt Sanders.
You could be dead right now. You don't know where that came from.
Oh, this is going to be a bad night tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Clear. They're like, that has never been in a barrel. So
yeah, nope. So there's a little bit of like he's definitely kind of a creep at the party, just like staring at people and like. But you kind of understand. Like he's just like doesn't know that he has two left feet, and he's just sort of like trying to figure it all out.
Just completely like starstruck from this girl. I mean, and that's where like the relatability is like. At some point, we all had a crush, and it was like the most important thing for however like time. Now, would I have gone and done his actions? No. But
you can still see that like at that age, like just becoming someone who's persistent is probably a good thing.
That whole thing I see directly tied to Knox because he's he says to woo women, right? And it's like as soon as he learns that, and then he goes and meets this girl who's with obviously the real villain of the story, Chet, who is the jock football player guy who is kind of a jerk, We learned from the beginning that he's the dummy. He's the one that we're supposed to...
Chet, so it's very clear.
That's, Chad before Chad was Chet. Gosh. And he's just like, I swear, whoever that actor is, like, I've seen him in 50 movies over the last 20 years. Like, he's just the same person. He's just the same... Chet-looking mother trucker you see. He's the most Chet-looking mother trucker you ever seen. So that's why he is the true villain of the movie. But
okay, so in my book it doesn't. But does the party fight qualify as a dad fight?
I mean, it reaches that same level of like not great, where you're just kind of like after the fight. But yeah, he's too young and he just full mount too quickly to that kind of ground play is not dad fight. You need some stumbling around. I think also a dad fight is typically more evenly matched because they're just both sort of incompetent. Yeah, you're both over 40. You move about the same. You're about that same 210, 5'10", 210 pounds, like kind of moving around. Like that's what the dad fight kind of specializes. It was just he put him on the ground and started pounding him, and having the girl come and pull him off. I think that there's some dad fight in there where the girl has to come pull off the guy who starts winning. That's clearly, but it was him curled up in the fetal position. That's not a dad fight. No. So we're building out this dad fight thing. This is very good. But were you surprised that this whole thing worked? Like his persistence, and that it kind of worked in the end. I think I was surprised that it like didn't work, and then all of a sudden it just did. Probably needed a little more character development from the girl. Yeah. Or maybe a little like you kind of get a little bit of like, okay, she's with Chet. Chet's the football player. Kind of caricature wise, they're like, hey, okay, you fill the rest in. You kind of know the archetypes that we're going for here. I don't know if her character is super believable. Like, you just can't keep showing up. Like she shows up to his school and is like, no, I'm not interested. And then like 35 seconds later, they're walking away and she's giggling and like holding his arm. It's like, okay. I mean, and that changes pretty quick. Like today, if this whole situation happens, 30 kids filmed him. He has a YouTube video of him like already remixed to Pitbull or something, as he's going over this, like he's getting blown up. But it's like, could you believe that like this girl didn't like Chet? She's the popular girl, so she's expected to date Chet, but she's got a little bit more going on in her head. Definitely underdeveloped character. Yeah. And it's like, all I can think of is like, it is the successful part of the movie. It's like, he wanted the romanticism. This is like, he got the girl in the end, like from being persistent, from using poetry, like all the ways that he's supposed to be doing it. And he was like the most bright-eyed character you could ever write. Like he was just like positive all the time. Like she rejects him, but it's like, but she listened, but I did it. Like good for you, bud. That was probably
best scene for all the kids was like him showing up at her school, getting rejected, and like, nope, you're not. I'm not. I got still more in the tank. I'm going to come into your classroom. I'm going to read this poem to the whole class.
Yeah.
Now, he probably could have written a better poem.
They,
No, let me rephrase. There's about 1.5 million better poems that he could have just pulled the other guy's card and just copied and read a good poem out loud. Would have been far better than what he did. But you still have him like, look, I'm so insistent on this that I'm going to make a fool out of myself, which is like, yeah, that's, you got to be willing to like risk it all to win the girl. I think, you know, if I'm the girl, it's like, oh, buddy, this poem stinks.
As I'm experiencing it again, I was like, ooh, this is rough. Knox, buddy, dude, don't do it.
Yeah.
But then, like, I think they want you to have that, which is why they, like, cut it off. And then the next scene is like, well, you know, they're like, what happened? What happened? And did she say anything? No. And they're like, normal thing to be like, oh, that went terrible. Sorry, buddy. And he's like, no, but she listened. You're like, homeboy is gone. He is gone.
He's either locked in or he's gone. Yeah.
No, he's gone. Like, he's like,
I'm pretty sure he's gone.
and you're just like, at that point, you're more worried about him. And I think one of the things me experiencing this is like, I knew that someone was going to commit suicide by the end. I kind of forgot which character. And so as I'm experiencing the movie this time, I'm like, is it this one? Like, is it this one? Is it this one? Mm-hmm. It was a bit surprising. I kind of figured it out. Like, I was like, okay, I remember the play and with the crown and everything by the end. But like, they all experience some sort of sacrifice as they're going through and like, you know, ingesting what Keating's like kind of teaching them, right? So like, obviously this Knox gets beat up at the party, like, you know, he kind of makes a fool of himself, but he's still like, he's pushing for the romanticism portion. So I was like, which one of them is like not going to handle whatever the sacrifice is the best? And that's why I say like, the character that he did seem most confident. And you know, some of the people who do end up committing suicide, you don't necessarily see it, but they just get to a point where it's like life's not worth living anymore. And with the rest of the characters, like Charlie, the guy who gets spanked, which torture, spanking, interrogation scenes, you know, I wonder why those left school. Or maybe that was a wild scene. Like, give up all your sins, we're gonna spank you until you do it. These are the ones who run the CIA and then, you know, create CIA black sites. It all makes a little bit more sense.
That's probably the best expected outcome you could have for.
They're like, what are these guys complaining about getting waterboarded? I got spanked when I was like 16, you know, trying to give up my
just for reading a poem.
Yeah. They're like, what are people complaining about this? It's just water. A lot of the character arc for these was like, I guess for me experiencing it was like, who is going to be the one who breaks after they experience like whatever it is, and eventually it was this guy. So what do you think? Like, there was this character Todd throughout the whole guy, kind of quiet. You're kind of not sure like how important he's going to be throughout the movie, and he's not really like a main character, but he's kind of following the rest of the characters, just like towing behind. We start to see that he's not like comfortable talking, or, you know,
right.
He's just kind of like a nervous kid. I mean, if anyone changed, he probably changed the most. He was most affected, I'd say.
I think in the movie I forgot like how the ending plays out. I was hoping he would be the one that would say, no, I'm not signing this. Like, become that like principled sort of young man where it's like, no, this is wrong. And, you know, we beat up the kid who even proposed this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing this. But it ends up that he and all the other buddies fall in line. To me, it was like a bummer. But then, okay, he gets the final, I'm going to, you know, oh, Captain, my captain, or, you know, I'm Spartacus moment where they stand on the desks, which I think is a good arc because even at the beginning, like, you know, he stands up on Keating stands on the desk. He's like, all right, come take things from a different perspective. Todd gets up and just jumps right down.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, not interested in this. Keating's like, hey, we got to, say some poetry in front of the class. Todd, I know this scares, the pants off you. So for then him to be the one to lead the "Oh Captain, My Captain" at the end, good storytelling, good fundamentals on that arc for sure.
Because I know Ethan Hawke is like the actor he is now.
Yeah.
Watching it back, you're kind of like, oh, I think he's going to play a bigger role, but like he kind of is just the one in the background, like that, like is gonna like you're waiting for him to blossom at some point, and he's the one who like struggles. I mean, not struggles the most, but like he's the one who you could tell like needs to hear this probably more than the rest of them. You know, the Charlie guy who's like clearly you set up has rich parents, he can do whatever he wants, trying to get expelled because whatever, he doesn't really care.
Yeah,
like everything is chaos type of guy. Like he eats this up. And he's obviously one of the ones to put it forward. Neil is like. He's kind of waiting for something like this too. I mean, he's clearly like doing a ton of things, and then he wants to do what he wants, and he wants a reason for doing it. Like he's smart enough to know he kind of like needs a reason for it. But this Todd kid who's living in his brother's shadow is super shy. He just needs to hear something like, "You need to get out and live a little bit." So the message is something good for him, and so in that way, Keating's probably most successful with him. And I wonder, like, as he's walking away at the end and looking at these students and kind of like, I get the feeling that he thinks he did a good job. Like, he did what he came to do. If only was for these, this one class of kids. Mm-hmm. Like, he's kind of like, all right, that's what I was trying to do. And I like they left it, like, unsaid like that. You're like...
And that's the same reason why I think he failed. because he I would hope is that he could have 30% of his class year after year after year after year. Or if it's like, hey, if I just reach that one quiet kid and like break him out of his shell a little bit and show him that this sort of thing is possible, there's going to be kids next year that need that. They're not going to get it. So like, to me, Keating has played himself out of participating in the grand game, thereby truly limiting what could have been.
Well, I think without going all the way into this, like the grand game was always going to, like this was always the end of the grand game because the establishment is what it is and it wants to keep going. So he only had one opportunity, one shot. Don't miss it.
Was right.
Yeah. But like because it's like, do you undersell it and get 90%, and what does 90% get you? Like if the dude never does the play, did he still learn enough to like he still becomes a doctor and still goes on his path, right? Maybe he's a little bit changed. I don't know. It's a really interesting question to like try to flesh out of like, unless you go all the way, does it really like
does it count?
Does it really count? And I kind of felt like this was always the path. Like he was not meant for this world, like this
school.
And was he like going to change it and be there? I mean, he could have been, but it's like, and the reason I say that is like the scene, how it hits at the end with all of them up on the desk. Like it's what sticks. It's kind of what sticks from you from the movie, right? Like you remember the desk scene.
I mean, I thought the death scene comes like in the middle of the movie.
I did too. Like
because it's such that like pivotal scene. You think, oh, this is the scene which the movie rests, and it does, but it's just at the end.
You get that scene, you get that high, but it's like it comes at a cost.
And you are correct, because "Oh Captain, My Captain" is a poem by Walt Whitman.
Yep.
About the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, which, in the romantic sense.
Yep.
Keating predicts his own demise at the school by saying, you can address me by Mr. Keating or, oh, Captain, my Captain, because I will no longer be here at the school at some point.
Yeah.
And this is the only thing that can be fitting for you to address me by as someone who's no longer here.
You wonder how it's going to play out after. Like, there's lots to like think about after this because the fitting nature of who's coming to take over this class. Well, the headmaster, who's like obviously the most starchy dude, loves spanking kids, like that's just his thing. But he was the one who used to teach it, and you got a sense that he kind of like he was young and idealistic at one point too. But you got to conform because that's just what you got to do, and then you're gonna eventually. He was kind of showing like Keating's arc being going to that head person too. It's like, hey, I was in your spot one day, but
Yeah, I've learned to conform.
Yeah, you just got to learn to conform, buddy. Like, it's cool, but these kids need tradition to really, like, that's what's going to be best for them, serve them in the end.
Mm-hmm. There's only one place to go from here, and it's for me to stand and deliver.
You gonna do it?
Oh, Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every rack. The prize we sought is won. The port is near. The bells I hear. The people all exulting. While follow eyes the steady keel. The vessel grim and daring. But oh, heart, heart, heart. Oh, the bleeding drops of red. Where on the deck my Captain lies, fallen, cold and dead. Oh, Captain, my Captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung. For you the bugle trills. For you bouquets of ribboned wreaths. For you the scores are crowding. For you they call, the swaying mast, their eager faces turning. Here, Captain, dear father, this arm beneath your head. It is some dream that on that deck you've fallen cold and dead. My Captain does not answer. His lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm. He has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip, the victor ship comes in with object won. Exalt, O shores, and ring, O bells, but I, with mournful tread, walk the deck my Captain lies, fallen, cold, and dead. I mean, that does sum up that final scene.
Yeah. Gosh, the point of, like, that he predicts his own demise. I miss that. Like,
I'm so wrong. The writing's so good in this. They did such a good job.
Yeah. It does hit, like, once you. I mean, that's what poetry is. That's like what he's trying to say is, like, how it elicits so many things just from that, like, set of words is. I do not have the correct words. Maybe I should have read more poetry and I'd be more eloquent in this moment.
Well, that's why we just read it just now, because I need more poetry. You need more poetry.
Yeah.
You, dear listener, need more poetry.
Yeah.
So, take it back to the beginning. Synopsis. Did you like it? Should the listener, go see it?
Yeah, this is a must see from everyone. If you like movies in the least, like, definitely you want this. You want to watch this. Great acting. I would say great writing. Others might disagree. We'll let you decide, listeners, if you think that it is great writing or not. But it's definitely one. And even as I've talked to people about, like, this movie, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's a good." Like, general consensus is great movie. In the end, like, I thought it was great. I thought it was something that, like, pretty much anyone could watch, and, like, you're gonna walk away feeling something. Like, you're not gonna roll your eyes after, like, half the movies in the collection. So this is one that I don't know how it ended up in 18-year-old Dave's collection, but I'm glad it did. So I mean, I'm walking away from this being like, great movie. Gives me a lot to think about with my own parenting and everything. So.
I agree. I think you go see it.
All right. Well, another one in the books.
Thanks for listening to this whole podcast. We appreciate everyone who's listened to all the episodes.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of listeners now. Dozens.
Or tens.
Maybe a dozen. So appreciate all of you for listening. That's been What's in the DVD Box. I'm Jonathan.
I'm David.
Thanks for listening.